April 27, 2011. It was only the beginning. The storm's roar grew louder and louder. Families rushed into shelters, but suddenly, the roof was torn off. The tragedy didn't stop there. 73 more lives were lost that day. On April 25th, severe storms swept across the southern plains and the lower Mississippi Valley. It was frightening to realize that these storms spawned tornadoes for most of Arkansas, as well as parts of Missouri, Oklahoma, Texas, and Louisiana, including several EF2s that damaged homes and businesses.
Deadly mix of tornadoes and flooding in Arkansas overnight. Hardest hit in Arkansas was the town of Valonia. What appears to have been a massive tornado destroyed most of that town, and 50 homes were destroyed. Statewide, at least 7 people were killed by severe weather.
Then all heck broke loose and something come crashing through the front door, and it just, we just thought the house was going to explode any second.
Heartbreaking. Everything you worked for all these years just gone.
But the worst part was that this was only the beginning. The next day, April 26th, the outbreak moved east into the Tennessee and Ohio valleys, where another 55 tornadoes touched down across the U.S. At first, they seemed like isolated events, damaging homes, power lines, and roads. But in reality, they were setting the stage for what would become the most terrifying day of all. 27th of April, 2011.
It looks like it's up into Itawamba County now. There seems to be 2 different circulations that are working up through there. So no formal tornado warning for Marion, but we do have the one for Pickens and for Lamar.
3 a.m. The first tornado touched down near Scottsville, Marion County.
It is very likely that there's a tornado on the ground in northeast Marion County that will likely come right across Bear Creek, very near Phillips High School. If you are in that place, you need to be in a safe place immediately.
Rated an EF3, the twister destroyed many homes across Marion and Franklin County and also caused the first fatality of the day. After the first tornado, several more formed through the early morning.
County, take cover immediately in the city of Coleman, out to Berlin and Holly Pond, Hanceville, Phelan, Bolte, and Welty. All those spots need to be in a safe place. Lowest floor of your home, away from windows. If you're in a mobile home, you've got just a matter of minutes.
As the afternoon progressed, weather conditions across the southeast became increasingly unstable. As a result, the SPC was upgraded to high risk for severe weather around 1 p.m. 1:45 p.m., the Storm Prediction Center issued a particularly dangerous situation tornado watch for much of Alabama and parts of Mississippi, Tennessee, and Georgia.
So we have a tornado warning for 2 separate circulations. One will be coming through northern Sumter, northern Greene, possibly affecting southwest Tuscaloosa County. The other one is here at Pickensville.
Soon after, clusters of supercell thunderstorms developed across Mississippi and Alabama, and several of them began producing strong and violent tornadoes.
Oh my God, look at the debris!
2:40 p.m. In Alabama, a strong multi-vortex twister touched down on the north side of Lewis Smith Lake. As it tracked towards Coleman, the intensity reached an EF3, resulting in numerous trees being snapped and houses being swept away.
And if you're north or east of Coleman, you need to be in a safe place as well, because that is a violent, large, dangerous tornado that is coming through the city of Coleman right now.
Several tower cameras caught the tornado live in action, watching it intensify to a terrifying EF4 as it tore through downtown Coleman.
Oh fuck, don't hit moms, don't hit moms, don't hit moms. I'm going right towards moms, oh shit. Oh no, no, no.
Moving through Hugh-Laco, Ruth, and Arab, the vortex destroyed everything in its path until dissipating southeast of New Hope. It was one of the first signs that this outbreak was about to become historic. 3:05 p.m. Another tornado touched down 5 miles southwest of Hamilton in Marion County, Alabama. It began moving to the northeast, leaving behind a trail of damage. In the beginning, the twister ranged between EF1 and EF2, But as it approached US Highway 43, it took a monstrous turn, intensifying rapidly to EF4 strength.
Tornado is near Hackleburg. If you're in Hackleburg, you need to be in a safe place now. Same thing up around Phil Campbell. And if power is out in Phil Campbell and you know that folks are there, and we keep repeating ourselves with this, but it's a very serious situation.
The homes and brick structures of southwest Hackleburg were no match for the screeching winds of up to 170 miles per hour, and many crumbled to the ground. But this was just the beginning.
You need to be in a small room on the lowest floor, near the center, away from windows. Nobody should be in a mobile home during a tornado, and nobody should be in a vehicle of any kind, car, truck, bus, or van.
The twister began moving towards Hackleburg, running parallel to Highway 43, and intensified again, this time to an EF5 strength, with winds up to 210 miles per hour and a width of 0.75 miles. When a violent tornado approached Hackleburg, Tabitha Kelly Harper begged her fiancé, Chris Dunn, to join her in the shelter. He refused, saying he wasn't afraid. The tornado struck their neighborhood. Tabitha survived underground. When she emerged, everything was gone. Dunn's body was found 200 yards away near a creek, and their pit bull, Bear, was found in a nearby tree. 3:24 p.m. The windstorm continued towards the heart of Hackleburg, ripping asphalt off the ground and leveling structures completely. Most of the structures in downtown Hackleburg were badly damaged, including Hackleburg High School and Elementary School.
Everything got all dark, the sirens. It's like I wasn't even in reality.
Destruction surrounds their field, their school completely destroyed, the field house no longer in use. Over here, the press box, it's not there.
Several subdivisions and businesses also faced the storm's unrelenting wrath. Piggly Wiggly, the only grocery store in Hackleburg, was left in a terrible state, but the manager, Dennis Whitfield, was lucky and survived by hiding under the produce rack. It also crushed the massive Wrangler plant, Hackleburg's biggest employer. Many second-shift workers escaped, but office supervisor Linda Knight was killed when a roof beam collapsed. Jeans from the Wrangler factory were later found 40 miles away in Cortland, Alabama, showing the tornado's immense power. As the twister moved across Hackleburg, it tossed vehicles up to 200 yards. One well-built home with 4 brick sides was completely leveled, and the debris from the home was tossed over 40 yards to the north. Several churches, including Emmanuel Baptist Church, laid waste in the windstorm's path. 21-year-old Tommy Quinn rode out the storm in a shelter with his family. It was the most terrifying 15 seconds of his life. When he finally stepped outside, their family home was gone, except for one living room wall.
Everything is gone. We have our lives and we have our family. Everything is gone.
The Red Cross concluded that almost 75% of the buildings in Hackleburg were destroyed along the 25.14-mile tornado path. The Marion County coroner, Randy Jackson, spent 3 days dealing with the dead bodies. The deadly winds left 3 victims in an unrecognizable state. Even Mayor Gunnan, who was born and raised in Hackleburg, could not figure out who they were. The Hackleburg tornado, which was the first EF5 tornado in Alabama since the 1998 Birmingham tornado, claimed 18 lives and destroyed many more.
At this point on Wednesday night, search crews hadn't even reached this part of the county, had no idea how widespread or extensive this damage even was. Well, now some 24 hours later, they found 30 people who didn't make it through the storm.
3:28 p.m. After ravaging Hackleburg, the winds moved northeast and continued to parallel Highway 43 until crossing into Franklin County.
Phil Campbell, you should be in your tornado shelter right now.
By this time, the twister had widened to a deathly 1.2 miles and was traveling at an estimated forward speed of 69 miles per hour. The winds damaged 3 miles of vegetation and trees before crossing Woodward Road, located to the southeast of Phil Campbell. The twister still displayed an intensity of EF5 as it continued moving closer to the town, destroying more houses on its way. Significant damage was observed from the interaction of County Road 51 and Alabama Highway 237 to the intersection of County Road 81 and County Road 75. The 2-mile-wide corridor on either side of the railroad tracks was also severely hit, and the tornado leveled several well-constructed homes. Ralph Wright lived on Highway 237. As the tornado approached, he and his family took cover in a concrete storm cellar inside their home. The winds tore away at the house and even ripped off the cellar's concrete roof, exposing them to the storm. They survived, but the home was destroyed. The roof was later found where the house once stood.
Couple that lives here, that one person was in a tub and actually blew into the street when this tornado hit. A second person was thrown out of the house, actually slammed up against this vehicle, was holding onto this metal pole right here in the ground, got tossed again. He actually got thrown all the way over to this Explorer. That's where this dent came in. He landed here, went on the ground, the tornado went by. He said he doesn't even know why he's still alive.
3:34 p.m. The tornado eventually tore through Phil Campbell, wiping many homes from their foundations on Brown Street, located just east of downtown. Bonner Street, which runs parallel to Brown Street, had several small blocks of homes. But after the tornado passed, almost the entire block was destroyed. A 25-foot section of pavement was also sucked up and scattered. Chunks of the pavement were found in a home over a third of a mile down the road. The monster damaged 3 churches in Phil Campbell, destroying one of them completely, except for a slab that was left behind.
As soon as it was over, my dad and my son got in the truck with the chainsaws and everything because they knew that they were going to have help to, start cleaning up. We knew it was bad. And they got as far as our church, and they came back to the house and said that our church was gone. And my son said, "Mama, there are dead bodies everywhere." And we got out and just started working and doing whatever we could to help.
After taking 2 more lives, the storm exited Phil Campbell towards the northeastern side, roughly along County Roads 81 and 82, and towards the rural community of Oak Grove. By this time, the tornado had reached its peak with, at more than a mile, an EF5 intensity. 3:42 p.m. The twister unleashed its full fury as it struck Oak Grove along County Roads 38 in Smith Lane. A large, well-constructed home with extensive anchoring was razed, with debris carried well away from the site. A Corvette sports car was mangled and thrown around 640 feet, and a large vehicle was missing. A block home along Smith Lane was wiped out entirely, with the only thing left standing being a small piece of the metal truss of a chicken house. Exiting the Oak Grove community, the tornado continued into Lawrence County while still maintaining its EF5 strength. 3:53 p.m. The tornado struck Mount Hope. Many single-family homes and Mount Hope's restaurants stood in the wind's path, and when they finally struck, nothing but foundations and piles of debris remained in the area. Mobile homes in Mount Hope also faced the full force of the storm, many of which were destroyed or had their frames mangled. Some residents were quick to take shelter, and others were spared. One of those families ran inside a storm pit and shut the door moments before disaster struck. Just 12 seconds later, the storm wiped out everything around, trapping all 11 of them inside with a power pole. Fortunately, the pit's concrete walls and steel door didn't cave in, and they managed to survive. Gary Dobb, meteorologist of Way TV, lived in Mount Hope with his wife. Knowing that the 27th of April would be dangerous, he sent her to her parents' home in Decatur while he worked at the station. Around 3:15 p.m., he returned home for rest, but soon heard reports of a tornado near Phil Campbell and Hackleburg. Realizing it could reach Mount Hope, he went back on air from his home and saw a massive wall cloud moving over Bankhead Forest.
First thing I noticed was the intense lightning just over the entire sky here, and the frequency of that lightning and the intensity was something I'd never seen before.
When the tornado appeared just 50 yards away, he ran for the safe room behind his house, but the storm was too fast. Before he reached it, his car slammed onto the roof. Pecan trees shattered the windows, and the walls blew apart.
And by the time that I even got into this room right here, the walls were already exploding behind me and on the side of me, and huge debris was hitting the roof and crashing the roof.
While his house was destroyed completely, Gary survived by taking cover inside a closet at the last minute.
Glancing blows by both of them. Those are the only two things I recognized. Everything else was just pieces. And and in a lot of these concrete blocks, I think a lot of them wound up hitting me.
Further northeast, the damage was slightly less intense, with more trees snapped and twisted as the tornado reached Highway 24. It seemed like the tornado was finally losing steam. It continued northeast, near the Langtown community north of Malton. On the west side of Alabama Highway 33, several homes sustained significant damage, with roofs missing or only interior rooms remaining. The relief was short-lived as the storm intensified again to a high-end EF4 as it moved into County Roads 214 and 298, where it destroyed multiple houses and mobile homes. Several cars were tossed into fields and wrapped around trees along County Road 291 and 292. The tornado continued a short stretch through the northeast corner of Morgan County, crossing Wheeler Lake and into Limestone County, coming as close as 2 miles to the Browns Ferry nuclear power plant. After toppling nearly a dozen high-voltage power lines in Limestone County and snapping concrete poles at their bases, the tornado headed towards the small county of Tanner. When the monstrous EF4 finally struck Tanner, there was destruction everywhere. The storm completely swept away several well-constructed homes with anchor bolting. One of those houses was scattered over 300 yards, with large items carried to unimaginable distances. The storm also tossed a large cargo container around 600 yards, and many cars stayed airborne for hundreds of yards. Crossing US 72, the twister continued into East Limestone, a more populated area of Limestone County. Moving at an intensity of EF3, the storm tore through a subdivision at the corner of McCully Mill Road and Capshaw Road. Crossing into Madison County, the tornado struck the suburban communities of Harvest and Tony.
Look at the debris! Look at the debris up in here!
Many houses in Harvest, especially in the Anderson Hill subdivision, were damaged or destroyed entirely. A Piggly Wiggly grocery store, a convenience store, and a local bank were all severely damaged and remained closed for months after the catastrophic event. In Tony, the tornado tore through multiple weakly anchored homes at an EF3 intensity until weakening rapidly to an EF0 southwest of Hazel Green and dissipating near Gladstone at 4:50 p.m. When rescue teams finally reached all the affected areas, the real damage became apparent. The Hackleburg Phil Campbell tornado remained active for 102 miles, the third longest track tornado of the entire outbreak. This violent storm claimed 71 lives, making it the deadliest single tornado ever to strike Alabama.
It's crazy. And the cars flipped upside down with car alarms going off. You know, you hear a car alarm in the parking lot at Walmart, but when you see 3 of them laying in a cotton field with the car alarms and the lights flashing, it's a whole different ball game.
It's going to take a lot of healing. So many lives have been impacted. Children, we've lost children. We've lost faculty members, church members. It's going to take a long process of healing. It's going to take a long time.
In just minutes, entire neighborhoods vanished, families were torn apart, and the landscape itself was changed forever. Its fury was so unmatched that it became the deadliest U.S. tornado since the 1955 Udall, Kansas disaster, a haunting reminder of nature's power and how a single storm can leave scars that never fade.